In the late 1800s, the gold rush would bring an enormous non-native population to the West and a desperate demand for lumber to build new towns and homes. The big old trees were the first to go.
The forest began to change dramatically. They started logging trees and putting in sawmills from the very beginning to build homes and that type of thing.
As American infrastructure grew, so did the demand for lumber.
In the late 1800s, you had enormous forestry operations moving east to west.
They settled the land using the same approach they knew from back east. Cut trees, plant more, and repeat the cycle. But in the dry and mountainous West, this type of land management was setting the stage for a disaster.
In general, fires take out the small trees and leave behind the big trees. Logging does the opposite. Takes out the big trees and leaves all the little trees and all the dead limbs and needles, and increases the wildfire potential and increases their severity.
In the late 1800s, settlements, planting, and livestock grazing were quickly erasing the forests. By focusing on the most valuable lumber, they were also removing the most fire-resistant trees.
The type of plants started changing, the forest started expanding, and most of the Indians were gone.
And so what you saw is that what were fire-resilient forests that had larger trees, very little understory, that those were gone. Now, over decades, fire could have helped to thin out that forest, thin out those weak trees, and restart a state of resilience.
But forest fires were the last thing lumber companies wanted. And this would spark the central conflict between the US government and fire during the push westward.